The Impossible Fortune, a Thursday Murder Club Mystery. Thursday Murder Club Mysteries Book 5. Publication date, September 30th, 2025. Print length, 368 pages. Who's got time to think about murder when there's a wedding to plan? It's been a quiet year for the Thursday Murder Club. Joyce is busy with table plans and first dances. Elizabeth is grieving. Ron is dealing with family troubles, and Ibrahim is still providing therapy to his favorite criminal. But when Elizabeth meets Nick, a wedding guest asking for her help, she finds the thrill of the chase is ignited once again. And when Nick disappears without a trace, his cagey business partner becomes the gang's next stop. It seems the duo have something valuable, something worth killing for. Joyce's daughter, Joanna, jumps into the fray to help the gang as they seek answers. Has someone kidnapped Nick? And what's this uncrackable code they keep hearing about? Plunged back into action once more, can the four friends solve the puzzle and a murder in time? The Impossible Fortune, a Thursday Murder Club Mystery. Paper Girl, a memoir of home and family in a fractured America. By Beth Macy. Print length, 368 pages. Publication date, October 7th, 2025. From one of our most acclaimed chroniclers of the forces eroding America's social fabric, her most personal and powerful work, a reckoning with the changes that have rocked her own beloved small Ohio hometown. Urbana, Ohio, was not a utopia when Beth Macy grew up there in the 70s and 80s, certainly not for her family. Her dad was known as the town drunk, which hurt, as did their poverty. But Urbana had a healthy economy and thriving schools, and Macy had middle-class schoolmates whose families became her role models. Though she left for college on a Pell Grant and then a faraway career in journalism, she still clung gratefully to the place that had helped raise her. But as Macy's mother's health declined in 2020, she couldn't shake the feeling that her town had dramatically hardened. Macy had grown up as the paper girl, delivering the local newspaper, which was the community's civic glue. Now she found scant local news and precious little civic glue. Yes, much of the work that once supported the middle class had gone away, but that didn't begin to cover the forces turning Urbana into a poorer and angrier place. Absenteeism soared in the schools and in the workplace as a mental health crisis gripped this small city. Some of her old friends now embraced conspiracies. In nearby Springfield, Macy watched as her ex-boyfriend, once the most liberal person she knew, became a lead voice of opposition against the Haitian immigrants, parroting false talking points throughout the 2024 presidential campaign. This was not an assignment Beth Macy had ever imagined taking on, but after her mother's death, she decided to figure out what happened to Urbana in the 40 years since she'd left. The result is an astonishing book that, by taking us into the heart of one place, brings into focus our most urgent set of national issues. Paper Girl is a gift of courage, empathy, and insight. Beth Macy has turned to face the darkness in her family and community, people she loves wholeheartedly, even the ones she sometimes struggles to like. And in facing the truth in person with respect, she has found sparks of human dignity that she has used to light a signal fire of warning, but also of hope. Heart the Lover by Lily King. Print length, 188 pages. Publication date, September 30th, 2025. You knew I'd write a book about you someday. Our narrator understands good love stories, their secrets and subtext, their highs and free falls. But her greatest love story, the one she lived, never followed the simple rules. In the fall of her senior year of college, she meets two star students from her 17th century lit class, Sam and Yash. Best friends living off campus in the elegant house of a professor on sabbatical, the boys invite her into their intoxicating world of academic fervor, rapid-fire banter, and raucous card games. They nickname her Jordan, and she quickly discovers the pleasures of friendship, love, and her own intellectual ambition. But youthful passion is unpredictable, and soon she finds herself at the center of a charged and intricate triangle. As graduation comes and goes, choices made will alter these three lives forever. Decades later, the vulnerable days of Jordan's youth seem comfortably behind her. But when a surprise visit and unexpected news bring the past crashing into the present, she returns to a world she left behind and must confront the decisions and deceptions of her younger self. Written with the superb wit and emotional sensitivity fans and critics of Lily King have come to adore, Heart the Lover is a deeply moving love story that celebrates literature, forgiveness, and the transformative bonds that shape our lives. Wise, unforgettable, and with a delightful connective thread to writers and lovers, this is King at her very best, affirming her as a masterful chronicler of the human experience and one of the finest novelists at work today. Next of Kin, a memoir by Gabrielle Hamilton. Print length, 263 pages. Publication date, October 14, 2025. We were a family veined through with certain brutalities, rifts, and unresolved conflicts, as well as some remarkable violences and some decades-long silences. But together we had rituals, systems, congruent, cohering events that made us who we were as one. I thought of the black and blue marks as if they were the desirable spores of mold found in noble cheeses. The youngest of 5 children, Gabrielle Hamilton took pride in her unsentimental, idiosyncratic family. She idolized her parents' charisma and nonconformity. She worshipped her siblings' mischievousness and flair. Hers was a family with no fondness for the humdrum. Hamilton grew up to find enormous success, first as a chef and then as the author of award-winning, best-selling books. But her family ties frayed in ways both seismic and mundane until eventually she was estranged from them all. In the wake of one brother's sudden death and another's suicide, while raising young children of her own, Hamilton was compelled to examine the sprawling, complicated root system underlying her losses. She began investigating her family's devout independence and individualism with a nearly forensic rigor, soon discovering a sobering warning in their long-held self-satisfaction. By the time she was called to care for her declining mother, the mother she'd seen only twice in 30 years, Hamilton had realized a certain freedom, one made possible only through a careful psychological autopsy of her family. Hamilton's gift for pungent dialogue, propulsive storytelling, intense honesty, and raucous humor made her first book a classic of modern memoir. In Next of Kin, she offers a keen and compassionate portrait of the people she grew up with and the prevailing, but soon-to-falter ethos of the era that produced them. A personal account of one family's disintegration, Next of Kin is also a universal story of the emotional clarity that comes from scrutinizing our family mythologies and seeing through to the other side. Bad Bad Girl, a novel by Gish. Print length, 396 pages. Publication date, October 21st, 2025. The award-winning author of The Resistors returns with an engrossing, blisteringly funny, sad autobiographical novel tracing a tumultuous mother-daughter relationship. My mother had died, but still I heard her voice. Gish's mother, Lu Shuhsin, is born in 1924 to a wealthy Shanghai family whose girls are expected to restrain themselves. Her beloved nursemaid, far more loving than her real mother, is torn from her even as she is constantly reprimanded. Bad, bad girl. You don't know how to talk. Sent to a modern Catholic school by her progressive father, she receives not only an English name, Agnes, but a first-rate education. To his delight, she excels. But even then he can only sigh, too bad. If you were a boy, you could accomplish a lot. Agnes finds solace in books and, in 1947, announces her intention to pursue a PhD in America. As the communist revolution looms, she sets sail, never to return. Lonely and adrift in New York, she begins dating Jen Chaopie, an engineering student. They do their best to block out the increasingly dire plight of their families back home and successfully establish a new American life. Marriage. A house in the suburbs. A #1 son. By the time Gish is born, though, the news from China is proving inescapable. Their marriage is foundering, and Agnes, confronted with a strong-willed, outspoken daughter distinctly reminiscent of herself, is repeating the refrain, Bad girl. You don't know how to talk," as she recapitulates the harshness of her own childhood. Spanning continents, generations, and cultures, Bad Girl is a novel only Gish Jen could have written, genre-bending, courageous, wise, and as immensely incisive as it is compassionate. 1929, Inside the Greatest Crash in Wall Street History and How It Shattered, by Andrew Ross Sorkin. Print length, 591 pages. Publication date, October 14, 2025. In 1929, the world watched in shock as the unstoppable Wall Street bull market went into a freefall, wiping out fortunes and igniting a depression that would reshape a generation. But behind the flashing ticker tapes and panicked traders, another drama unfolded, one of visionaries and fraudsters, titans and dreamers, euphoria and ruin. With unparalleled access to historical records and newly uncovered documents, New York Times best-selling author Andrew Ross Sorkin takes readers inside the chaos of the crash, behind the scenes of a raging battle between Wall Street and Washington and the larger-than-life characters whose ambition and naivete in an endless boom led to disaster. The dizzying highs and brutal lows of this era eerily mirror today's world, where markets soar, political tensions mount, and the fight over financial influence plays out once again. This is not just a story about money. 1929 is a tale of power, psychology, and the seductive illusion that this time is different. It's about disregarded alarm bells, financiers who fell from grace, and skeptics who saw the crash coming, only to be dismissed until it was too late. Hailed as a landmark book, Too Big to Fail reimagined how financial crises are told. Now, with 1929, Sorkin delivers an immersive, electrifying account of the most pivotal market collapse of all time, with lessons that remain as urgent as ever. More than just a history, 1929 is a crucial blueprint for understanding the cycles of speculation, the forces that drive financial upheaval, and the warning signs we ignore at our peril. Conform, a novel, 1,000 Voices, by Ariel Sullivan. Print length, 408 pages. Publication date, October 14, 2025. A lifelong outcast, 27-year-old Emmeline spends her days alone, sorting ancient art for destruction. Centuries after a catastrophic war nearly decimated humanity, society is now ruled by an elusive and technologically advanced group called the Ilum, who constantly monitor the population's health and mandate procreation contracts. But Emmeline's bleak existence is shattered when, for the first time in decades, an Ilum named Colin takes a mate, Emmeline. Baffled as to why she was chosen, Emmeline is swept into the dangerous game of the courting, where one wrong move can mean elimination. Soon, she discovers a rebellion rising in secret, and that her mate may be keeping secrets of his own. Colin is confusing, both cold and protective, and worse, she finds herself drawn to the very last person she should be falling for, Hal, one of the resistance leaders. As she draws closer to both Colin and Hal, the Ilum exercise their power in increasingly brutal ways, forcing Emmeline to question everything, most of all whether she'll have to give up her heart and even her life to stop them. Boleyn, Traitor, a novel by Philippa Gregory. Print length, 496 pages. Publication date, October 14, 2025. Jane Boleyn watches from the shadows of the Tudor court, where secrets are currency, every choice is dangerous, and even the faintest whisper can seal the fate of queens. For Jane, survival demands playing every role required of her, a loving wife who conceals her doubts, a devoted sister to and Boleyn at the height of her power, and an obedient spy who carefully wields her words. But in a court ruled by ambition and a tyrant's sword, Jane must rely on her sharp wit and skillful maneuvering to outthink those around her, knowing that one wrong move could cost her everything. Philippa Gregory masterfully shines a spotlight on the untold story of Jane Boleyn, peeling back the myths to reveal a complex portrait of a woman who dared to survive at any cost. Perfect for fans of thrilling historical drama and readers captivated by the intrigue of the Tudor period, Boleyn Traitor is a must-read. The Lost Story of Eva Fuentes by Chanel Cleeton. Print length, 352 pages. Publication date, September 30th, 2025. London, 2024. American expat Margot Reynolds is renowned for her talent at sourcing rare antiques for her clients, but she's never had a request quite like this one. She's been hired to find a mysterious book published over a century ago. With a single copy left in existence, it has a storied past shrouded in secrecy, and her client isn't the only person determined to procure it at any cost. Havana, 1966. Librarian Pilar Castillo has devoted her life to books, and in the chaotic days following her husband's unjust imprisonment by Fidel Castro, reading is her only source of solace. So when a neighbor fleeing Cuba asks her to return a valuable book to its rightful owner, Pilar will risk everything to protect the literary work entrusted to her care. It's a dangerous mission that reveals to her the power of one book to change a life. Boston, 1900. For Cuban school teacher and aspiring author Eva Fuentes, traveling from Havana to Harvard to study for the summer is the opportunity of a lifetime. It's a whirlwind adventure that leaves her little time to write, but a moonlit encounter with an enigmatic stranger changes everything. The story that pours out of her is one of forbidden love, secrets, and lies, and though Eva cannot yet see it, the book will be a danger and salvation for the lives it touches. Red City, The New Alchemist's Book 1 by Marie Lu. Print length, 418 pages. Publication date, October 14th, 2025. Alchemy is the hidden art of transformation, an exclusive power wielded by crime syndicates that market it to the world's elites in the form of sand, a drug that enhances those who take it into a more perfect version of themselves, more beautiful, more charismatic, simply more. Among the gleaming skyscrapers and rolling foothills of Angel City, alchemy is controlled by two rival syndicates. For years, Grand Central and Lumens have been balanced on a razor's edge between polite negotiation and outright violence. But when two childhood friends step into that delicate equation, the city and the paths of their lives will be irrevocably transformed. The daughter of a poor single mother, Sam would do anything to claw her way into the ranks of Grand Central in search of a better life. Plucked away from his family as a boy to become a Lumen's apprentice, Ari is one of the syndicate's brightest rising stars. Once, they might have loved each other. But as the two alchemists face off across opposite sides of an ever-escalating conflict, ambition becomes power, loyalty becomes lies, and no transformation may be perfect enough for them both to survive the coming war. At the publisher's request, this title is being sold without digital rights management software, DRM, applied.